Hi everyone. Today I'm going to be working with a brand new product from Cricut. It's a Sublimation glitter iron-on kit, and I'm super excited to show you how it works. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do the project in Design Space. I already have my design picked out, and I flipped mine on my mat because I have the hardest time remembering to mirror. I'm going to be using an Epson F170 printer, which is a true sublimation printer. And because of that, it will automatically try to mirror my design. And I don't want it to do that because then when it goes to do the cut part in Design Space, it's going to try to mirror it again. So I just flip it on my mat and I will tell my printer in the settings not to flip my design. And then it should all come out perfectly. I have already printed the colorful part. And then this part over here, when you're designing this for one of these kits, for the sublimation kits, you need to duplicate your design. So on this is actually two pieces. I did my colorful part with my words and my font and all that. And then I did a very small offset in black because I want to make sure it stands out. When I did my offset layer, I duplicated the offset layer, as you can see over here. And in this layer, I have it set to cut rather than to print and cut. And that's how we'll cut our actual piece of glitter iron-on. So now let's go over here to make it. I'm going to get this all set up and then I'm going to switch cameras so that you guys can see how it works. I did already do this part. I printed this page. So I don't need to do that. I just need to print the other page. So hang tight and I'll be right back. Okay, everyone, and we are back. So here's all of our project pieces. This is our printed page, which I'm going to go cut here in just a second. This is the wine bag that I'm going to use. And then this is the kit that I purchased to make my design on. I am doing something a little bit different. This is a wine bag, but I don't drink wine, nor do I know anybody that drinks wine. So I'm going to use this as a storage bag for my curling iron. A little unorthodox, but I think it's a pretty cool idea to use a really nice product. So let's get started. Okay, I'm going to move this out of the way. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to cut this page. I have set up Design Space to cut on sublimation paper, which is part of this kit, and it is also from Cricut. And what I like to do is I like to come up to this top left corner. Well, you have to come up to the top left corner. And I try to line my paper up so that I am just barely inside this edge grid mark at the top and the bottom. And then we're just going to make sure we got that nice and smooth. And then let me move you over so you can see the machine. Okay, I think that'll stay. And we are going to be cutting this on the Explorer 5. Now, because this is a lot of words, this may take some doing. And it may fail because my words aren't connected really well to each other. So we'll have to see how that turns out. I really do love how fast the Explorer cuts. And it does such a great job. Now, while that's going, I'm going to get the other piece ready to go. This is the glitter sublimation. This is just iron-on, and it's your basic white glitter. With iron-on, I like to use my green mats because the top surface of this that you're sticking down is really slick, and sometimes you have trouble getting it to stick. Now, what you want to do when you're cutting out iron-on is you always put it with the carrier, the shiny, side against your mat. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to come just a little bit inside at the top and the bottom. Cricut leaves you a 1/4 inch cutting margin around all four sides. So if you aren't dead on in the corner, as long as you're within that 1/4 inch, it'll be fine. Make sure that's laid down. Okay, this is done. So I'm going to eject this one. And then I'm going to go up here in design space, and I am going to go find my glitter iron-on. Okay, we are ready to go for that. So now I'm going to insert that. While that's going, I'm going to very gently, make sure I've got you guys in camera. Okay, I'm going to very gently peel off my sublimation paper from the mat. This, by the way, is why you probably want to use a blue mat for at least the paper. It doesn't stick quite as strong, so you're more likely to be able to get it off and not have it get messed up on you. Took me a minute to find my weeding tool. A little piece right here. There are some little white sections in the middle of the letters. So if you do this design, make sure you catch those. They won't transfer because they're white, so it's not really a big deal if you miss them, but and actually when I go to peel this off the mat, they would probably just come right off. Or they would stay stuck to the mat. Except for that stubborn piece right there. Okay, I think I got most of them. Oh, no, I did not. I move you guys up just in case. Okay, now it looks like I have most. Okay, let's eject our glitter. And just a handy tip, these are the little caps that come on your blades. I save these in a little container so that I can use them on my weeding tools or my sharp tweezers so that I don't jab myself when I'm grabbing them. Okay, now that we've got our cutting done, let's move you back down to our mat so we can continue to work on this. Now, when I'm doing vinyl or iron-on, I generally like to leave my iron-on on my mat because it makes it easier for me to weed. And as you can see, it is really hard to see the cut lines on this. And I don't want to waste all this. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to peel this off real quick. And I'm going to hold it up to the light, and I can see, well, you guys can't see, but I'm going to hold it up to the light, and I'm just going to put a little bitty mark on the back of this, like this. And then I'm going to grab my paper trimmer. And I'm going to trim off this extra because I really don't want to waste it. I can totally use that piece on something else. Okay. Now, actually, I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to hurry up and put the cover back on my mat so it stays clean. Well, maybe. Okay, close enough. Okay, now I'm going to take my piece of iron-on and I'm just going to stick it over here on my blue mat. to make it a little bit easier for me to weed. Get my weeding tool again. You know, one of the things I love about glitter iron-on is how forgiving it is. It doesn't tear easily. If you accidentally overheat it, it doesn't usually hurt it. Or if you press it a little bit too long, it's usually okay. And it kind of makes it perfect for a sublimation project because sublimation has to be done at a pretty high heat. Okay, so there's the bulk of it. Now we'll go get our extra little pieces out of here. You know, I hear people say all the time how satisfying it is to weed. I must be in the minority. I don't find weeding all that satisfying. It's just another part of the challenge. Okay. Okay, we are back and we are just about up to temp. This is a piece of parchment paper from Cricut. You really want to use butcher paper with sublimation, so I'll have to get up and grab a piece of that. And also, I want to make sure that I lint roll this design and I preheat it. So I'm going to lint roll it. Move this for a second. And you just want to give it, you know, 5 or 6 seconds. This is just to make sure that you get the moisture out and that you make sure that your item is nice and flat. Now we are going to have to contend with these seams on the side, so we'll see how that works. Okay, now centered here. And we're going to try to center our design again. Okay, that looks pretty good. Now, according to Cricut's heat guide for glitter iron-on and a wine bag, I want to go 330 degrees for 30 seconds. So now I'm going to set my press down and make sure that I'm covering everything. Okay, I think I'm covering everything. And it says firm pressure. Firm pressure does not mean standing on it. It doesn't mean putting it on the floor and putting extra weight on it. You just want to lean on it. I'm leaning on it with firm pressure like I'm trying to hold it down. I'm not really putting all my weight into it or anything like that. Okay, now we got to let this cool before we peel. While I'm waiting for it to peel, I will cut myself a piece of butcher paper for the next step. And this design isn't very big, so I don't need a really large piece. It's still pretty hot. Okay, while I'm waiting for this to cool, I'm going to go into the heat guide and I'm going to change my settings because we are going to do sublimation paper on a wine bag. Now for that, it is telling us that we need to go up to 385. And our time is going to be 60 seconds. Okay. Now while that's heating up, let's see if we can get our carrier sheet off. You want to kind of go slow here just in case something didn't stick. Okay, carrier sheet is off. Now is where it's going to get interesting. Okay, this is where I've got to get all of my little words. Let's see if I can bend my mat a little bit. And very carefully peel them off since they are just barely connected to each other. Oh, and this word is not connected. Have to place that one by hand. I do love a nice sticky mat. Until I'm trying to peel something off of it. Oh, there we go. Again, I want to be really careful here because I want to make sure I don't accidentally pull anything off and break the letters' connection to each other. Okay, got all of that. Now I'm going to once again hurry up and put my cover back on my mat. And I'm going to go grab my heat tape. Okay, heat tape in hand. All right, I'm going to move my press back a little bit just so I have a little more room to work here. Okay, we'll start with the word at the top. You're just going to flip this upside down so your printed side faces down. And you are going to square it up with your glitter iron-on the best you can. This will obviously work better if you pick a project that isn't a whole bunch of separate little pieces. But, you know, I like to challenge myself and make things really difficult. Okay, now this is the one that has the extra letter that did not stay connected. Okay, that looks good. Now keep in mind how light colored this is. After I press it, you will be shocked at how much darker and brighter it gets. Although my design is fairly pastel to start with. Okay, that looks straight. This one looks just a little bit off. Okay, that looks really good. I'm going to set this way, and this is where we want our piece of butcher paper. And I think I'm even going to add a couple little pieces of butcher paper or tape to the butcher paper so that it doesn't shift on me and possibly move my parts underneath. Okay, and once again, I want to make sure that I get the entire design under the press. Okay, and I believe I'm good there. Okay, and we once again want firm pressure. So I'm going to hit the start button. And I'm just going to use firm pressure. I can't wait to see how this turns out. Sublimation is one of my favorite things, although I usually do it in larger full-size pieces where I'm not worried about all the little fiddling to get the pieces to line up perfectly. But if this turns out, it's going to be really cute. And the perfect storage bag for the curling iron. And if you see a little bit of steam when you're doing sublimation or even infusible ink, that's perfectly normal. Okay. Now, once again, we need to wait for this to cool, and of course, that's going to take a minute. Going to grab another one of my mats, and I'm just going to stick it underneath because that will help it cool faster since it's not sitting on top of a hot mat. I'm fairly certain we're done with the press, so we're going to turn that off as well. Put away our weeding tool. I'm doing the ones that have kind of lifted already first, just to help keep them from accidentally ghosting because it's still pretty hot. There you go. Look at that. Doesn't that look great? And see how bright and vibrant the colors are? Now, let's go grab our curling iron and see if it fits. Here is our curling iron. Look at that. Perfect fit, and what a great extra use for a wine bag. Hope you all enjoyed, and happy crafting.